not an efficiency problem. It's a volume problem that we are looking to solve specifically to drive more new customer revenue, and how we are identifying those gaps within, not leaving any revenue loss to budget within branded search, spending into our top performing campaigns within Meta, and pulling away from the lower performing campaigns, and discussing ways that we can drive more new customer revenue volume to help bridge some of the gaps.
This episode of the e-commerce playbook is brought to you by Mercury. Here at Common Thread Collective, we know that cash flow is everything, especially right now. That's why we always recommend that our clients use Mercury to manage their banking, capital, and cards all from one place. Mercury lets you receive funds, generate invoices, and send free international and domestic wires in US dollars. Mercury also gives you instant access to virtual credit cards and 1.5% cash back across all your spend. Plus, if you need inventory or advertising, try Mercury's founder-friendly capital. Mercury brings all the ways you use money into one product that feels extraordinary to use. Deposit $5,000 or spend $5,000 using your Mercury credit card within your first 90 days to earn $250, or do both for $500 in total rewards. Just go to mercury.com/CTC to give it a try with no minimum deposits. That's mercury.com/CTC. Mercury is a technology company, not a bank. Check show notes for details. Hey folks, welcome back to the e-commerce playbook podcast. I'm your host, Richard Gaffin, Director of Digital Product Strategy here at Common Thread Collective. I'm here today with Luke Austin for a quick hit update on our $1 million in 14 days challenge. Now, we teed this up on the podcast last week, so you can go check out that episode if you want. But I'm going to just turn it over to you, Luke, to kind of give us an update. So first, kick us off with just a brief overview of what we're doing again, and then kind of jump into where we're at.
Yes. So what we are doing is tracking over the course of 14 days over the back half of June for a direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand that we work with, tracking against generating $1 million in revenue within that 14-day time period to beat their business forecast for the month. A couple other data points that are interesting. This would be 100%, just under 97% year-over-year growth in June in terms of top line revenue, if we're to accomplish this goal. So substantial year-over-year growth and a substantial amount of revenue within that 14-day time period. And so we are on day 8. Today is day 9, but we have closed out day 8 yesterday, and we are at $423,000 in order revenue against the $1 million target. And that is sitting just about 6% behind the target that we had for where we would land by the end of day 8. So $423,000 against $1 million in 14 days, and we're 8 days through. For those of you good at doing linear average math, if we kept up the current pace, we'd land behind that $1 million goal. But there are some other things at play here in terms of what we're expecting to happen over the remainder of the month that we expect to have an outsized impact on the revenue. Spend a few minutes talking about here, but that is where we sit 8 days into $1 million in 14 days.
Okay, so talk about the last 8 days. What's working, or maybe the thing to zero in on is like, what is the cause of this shortfall, I guess? I mean, you're not too far off the mark, but there's a little bit of a drawback. What's been happening there, I guess?
Yeah, so we've been overpacing returning customer revenue expectation and underpacing new customer revenue expectation, which is leading to total revenue falling short. So our returning customer revenue cohort is showing up at a higher rate than we expected. And to give a bit more context, there was a sale that was run at the beginning of the month, first few days of the month, that did really well, put us some really strong days. And then we've been in our sort of normal full price evergreen rhythm as we build up towards another marketing moment that's slated at the end of the month. So we haven't seen returning customer revenue drop off as much as we expected it to following the sale. So that's good. That's sort of helped to alleviate the shortfalls on the new customer revenue side of things. New customer revenue is where we're seeing the biggest drop off. And what we've been doing is pacing in alignment with our AMER target as the core new customer acquisition efficiency. We're plus 3% to AMER target over the course of those days. So sitting right where we want to be in terms of acquisition efficiency, but the volume isn't there. And so many of the conversations we've been having in our daily updates that we've been putting out revolve around how do we drive more volume of new customer revenue? It's not an efficiency problem. It's a volume problem that we are looking to solve specifically to drive more new customer revenue. And how are we identifying those gaps within not leaving any revenue loss to budget within branded search, spending into our top performing campaigns within Meta, and pulling away from the lower performing campaigns, and discussing ways that we can drive more new customer revenue volume to help bridge some of the gap that we've been seeing.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned some of the actions that you're taking right now. And obviously the whole point of this exercise is that being in a bit of a shortfall at this point in the month that's not unusual, but the idea is that you evaluate where you're at and then take a series of actions against that. So, but part of it is also as well, kind of, you alluded to this at the beginning, that, okay, so we're at, 450K or whatever at this point in the month, with a little less than half of the days left to go. But you mentioned if we were talking about linear averages, we would kind of be pacing behind. But of course, that's not actually how things work. In terms of how that revenue is weighted in this month, what's the expectation for what's going to happen in these next 6 days? Trusted by more than 200,000 startups, small businesses, and e-commerce companies, plus many of our clients here at CTC, Mercury gives you the ability to manage your banking, capital, and cards all from one place. E-commerce Playbook podcast listeners get $250 by depositing $5,000 or spending $5,000 using the Mercury credit card within your first 90 days, or do both for $500 at mercury.com/CTC. Mercury is a technology company, not a bank. Check show notes for details.
It's a great question. So a couple days ago, worth giving it a listen. All of our daily updates are 2 to 3 minute short clip videos, but we walked through the system that we use at CTC for building a clarity around a financial and marketing plan that ladders to the business goal that we're after. And so we walked through plan section and stat list, the use of our custom models, new customer model, returning customer model, event effect model, integration in the marketing calendar, the budget allocation and media mix, the cost integration to get to a P&L level output and daily targets for each of those things. So worth giving a listen to get some more context on what specifically are the tools and what is the process that we're using to land on these daily targets, where we're able to say through day 8, we're 5.9% behind revenue goal for those days. And we have that laid out for 35 plus critical business and marketing metrics. But where we're at currently is we have our daily revenue targets have been, with some fluctuation based on day of week effect, hovering around 55K a day in order revenue. So that's roughly what the average over the past 8 days has been. And over the next couple of days, that's where the revenue targets are at, 55 to 57K in order revenue, with some fluctuation based on the day. On the 26th, there is a big marketing moment launching that the brand has put an immense amount of effort and time and thought and strategy into. It is a brand collaboration that launches on the 26th, and there's different marketing events tied to the subsequent following days related to this brand collaboration launch. So that is a big key moment. That what I'll say and what I'll tease a bit here is this brand is best in class in terms of putting together these big hit marketing moments like the one that we're going to see starting on June 26th. And so what we have planned is daily revenue targets that about double from what we're currently pacing at. So we're going to have to step up about double in terms of the daily revenue expectation here, and hold that for a number of few days to be able to hit our revenue target. And then again, we're pacing behind so far the first 8 days. So we're going to have to make up some of that revenue. So we do have a higher expectation. What I will say is my hypothesis is this brand collab marketing moment is going to substantially outperform some of these expectations for some of these days. To what extent, I'm not sure. What specific days is going to outpace? Again, I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but this brand is best in class at putting these together. And this has been months in the making, and we're really excited to see what it looks like. So there's a lot of weight hanging on this brand collab marketing moment starting on the 26th and then going for a few days through the rest of the month. That's going to make or break whether we're going to get to this $1 million in 14 days. I think there's going to be some fireworks in either direction.
All right. I like it. And if you want to find out how all all of this comes to a close, just follow Luke. We're dropping these daily, primarily on YouTube Shorts, I think. So you can check that out at Common Fair Co's channel. So check it out, follow along, and we will see you with Luke again at the end of this to give a little bit of a postmortem on what happened and to kind of break down the whole thing. So, all right, folks, just a quick one. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.